Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining the Redington and Mobile Iron session. We have Mohan, our PCS consultant from Redington Value, who will be running throughout the session. We hope we will provide you all the information required, and you can go to the Q&A button on the left. At the end of the session, we will answer all your questions. Mohan, over to you.
Thank you, Ragda. Can you make me as a presenter? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. So today we're gonna see how you're gonna access or manage the remote devices. So MobileIron is a UEM vendor. When I say UEM, it's a Unified Endpoint Management. So we are talking about three main operating system over here: iOS, Android, and Windows. Okay. So why MobileIron? The reason is we have a centralized policy engine, and it's a single pane of glass, and we have millions of devices currently managed by MobileIron. Okay, so traditionally people were using everything on premises, so they need a laptop, a corporate laptop. If they are working within the network or outside the network, if it's outside the network, they are using the traditional VPN to connect their corporate network. But nowadays, everyone is using their own devices. It can be a laptop, mobile phone, or even tablets. And as organization, they are also moving from on-premises servers and application to the cloud resources. So nowadays, organization has to be have to put more control on how they are managing the devices or the users who are accessing their corporate data, whether it is on premises or even in the cloud. So MobileIron, they have a solution for both. So this is the market leadership for MobileIron, and it's still counting. They have more than 53 patents, and we have various certification, whether it's a FIPS 142 or FedRAP common criteria. They have all certified. And this is the traditional. So if you have a perimeter firewall and you have a device VPN and you have a users who's accessing from remote or even in the network, you need to control all the controls for the VPN. But today it's a mobile world. Even people are using email not only from their laptops, from their mobile devices, iPad. They are accessing their corporate resources. So it gives company more responsibility how they are managing the security control and how they are giving access to those users to have their corporate data. So this is the high level architecture of MobileIron. So we basically have, let me put on my pointer. We basically have two servers. One is EM console and other is Sentry. So EM console, it's the heart of the solution where it will be used to manage devices, policies, configuration, apps, and everything. And Sentry, it's just a gateway. You can also call it as a proxy. So what Sentry does? Sentry is the one who would give secure access to the backend resources. For an example, a company have email, on-prem email, and which is not published, means the user cannot access email from the internet, and they are only giving access if it is registered with MobileIron. So what will happen when the user after registration, this Sentry will check whether the user is genuine or all the policies, complaints, everything it's met. Only when it is passed, it will give access to the backend email server, so that the user can have access to the email through the secure email application. So as you see, there is one more platform called Access. This Access, it's for controlling the cloud resources. If the customer is having a Salesforce, SAP, OneDrive, or Slack, anything on the cloud, this will give a control, like which user can access and which user you can. It will check whether the device is met with all whatever I mentioned as per complaints. Then it will give access to the backend resources. If you notice, there is something called Bridge. Bridge is just a platform which is used to manage the Windows 10 devices. Okay, so as you can see in the mobile, you will find a orange box. So logic, when a device is registered, logically a container will be created. So anything happens inside the container stays inside the container. And on the left, these are the various products. I'll show a short demo on each product. This is the EUM client or agent installed on the iOS and Android devices. And this is the enterprise app store. So the company have a control, or they can able to publish a corporate resourced app or any publicly available app to put it in a special app store and publish to the user. So if it is BYOD user owned devices, the user have both. For an example, if it's iOS, they have iOS App Store as well as Enterprise App Store. And if the device is owned by the company, they can able to block the App Store totally. They can only have the App Store, meaning they'll control what app to be installed on the mobile devices. Okay, and this is the secure email plus, and this is the docs at work, web at work, and this is the help at work, tunnel, and authenticator. Authenticator is used for access for zero sign-on. Nowadays, people are moving into zero sign-on. So when you integrate any application with access, the user doesn't even have to put their username and password. Using authenticator, they can sign in to any of their cloud resources using the authenticator app. Okay, so this is a very brief. If you have any queries, you can always use the Q&A window. You can post it. I'll try to answer them at the end of the session. Okay, so these, like I mentioned, email plus, you'll have a native feel like experience. You have its own calendar, contacts, and notes. And this is the Docs at Work. Docs at Work has two purposes. For Android, for iOS, any attachment you receive from email, iOS has a native capability of opening any attachment, whether it's a PDF, Word, or a PPT. But Android, it's not. You need to have a document viewer. So one of the purposes of Docs at Work is to open any attachment which you are received over email plus, and other it can connect to backend resources. I'll get into details in my further slides. And this is a web at work. It's a secure web browser, and help at work, it's nothing but a remote. You can say it's a remote licensed team viewer. So you can help, the admin can help the user if they have any issues accessing any of these applications or accessing any corporate network or corporate resources. MobileIron Tunnel, it's for the third-party apps. I'll give you the difference between third-party apps and the App Connect apps in the coming slides. So any connectivity using third-party apps, Tunnel will be used, and this Tunnel will be also used for the Windows to connect the backend resources for the Windows laptop devices. And this is a platform which will be used for Windows 10 devices to manage and push policies like shell scripts or group policy editor. All this can be pushed using this MobileIron Bridge. So MobileIron Bridge enables Windows 10 for the configuration and to protect the policies, and you can also have a monitor, and you can also have a compliance enforced to the end devices. I'll explain in detail in the coming slides for how we can manage Windows 10. MTD, it's MobileIron is the only vendor who has MTD embedded within the same UEM client. So MTD, this is where security come in place. For an example, you are allowing BYOD, user-owned devices, to access your corporate resources. What happens if the device is like having a malicious app which is trying to read data from all apps being installed? Or what happens if the device is connected to malicious Wi-Fi? Okay, so if they have MTD, it will even detect and it will protect. For an example, mobile device which is connected to untrusted Wi-Fi. So MTD will let the user know the connection you have connected, it's not a trusted one. It will ask either to remove the connection, or you can enforce. If someone try to connect to a malicious or untrusted Wi-Fi, automatically it will revoke access to the corporate resources. And to do that, it doesn't need to connect to either the core or the cloud to get any signature. Everything happens on the device offline. So it doesn't need to get any signature updates or contact the core or cloud for any action to be taken on the device. Everything happens offline. So the moment it detects anything malicious going on, It will automatically block the corporate resources or it will notify the users, depends on how the policy is being created. This is the dashboard of UEM. So you can see number of devices by status, whether it is active, retired, or wipe pending, or you can check based on the complaint. Compliance is nothing but you can have set of policies. So for an example, if the device it's not reaching the UEM code for an example 60 days, so any devices which is not has reached the code for more than 60 days will be considered as a non-compliant. So you can define action saying two things: either block access to the corporate resources or notify the user. These are the two actions you can keep for the compliance. Or you can have an app control list saying these are the blacklisted application. Any application installed by the user which are listed under blacklisted will be under non-compliant device. So even if the device is not upgraded to a particular operating system, whether it is iOS, Android, so if it is not updated, it will be, you can make it as a non-compliant. So based on it, there are many criteria you can define to make a device compliant and non-compliant based on the customer requirement. And you can always see number of devices based on the operating system types, whether it's iOS, Windows, or Android, and by the operator, and also ownership. So ownership, here you can differentiate. This happens when you register the device for the first time. So when you are registering the device for the first time, you have an option to make it either a company-owned device or it's an employee-owned device. So the policy will differ based on that. If it is a company-owned device, the mode of deployment will be totally different from employee-owned device. For an example, the employee-owned device, you cannot enforce to get the location for the device. But if it's a company-owned device, the company need to know where the location it's been, whether it is in the home country or it's in the roaming country, whether they want to allow a media streaming application or they don't want to allow media streaming application. All these control you can do it on the company-owned devices. Okay. And this is the app catalog. So this will be your enterprise app store. So you can have your in-house application published, or you can always get tabs from iTunes, Google Play, or Windows, and you can make it available in the enterprise app store. And you have a customized terms and services. This is optional, and you can customize it. It's a HTML, so you can have your own company logo and company text or whatever you want to present to the user before registering with MobileIron. You can always have this customized terms and conditions. Apart from this, there is a privacy terms. So this is a default one for the BYOD devices. So this cannot be altered. So this is where you are ensuring how you're maintaining the user privacy. So what UEM client does and what the UEM client doesn't. For an example, it can access only the corporate resources. It cannot access any personal emails. Personal content remains private. So it cannot access personal email, text messages, personal contacts, photos, videos, and voicemail. So this is ensuring you can only enforce policies and compliance policies, but you cannot try and take any personal contents in the mobile devices. So this always will be a biggest concern if organization or company wants to put something on the user-owned mobile devices. So this will ensure the company, it's not concerned about the private details, it will only concern about the corporate record. Even the compliance policy which you are setting always reflects on the corporate resources. Whether if it's not compliant, you can always block the corporate resource access. Okay. And with MobileIron, we call something as space. Space, it's just for example, if you have head office in Qatar and you have branch office in Dubai, Saudi, and Europe. So you can have different space created, for an example, based on the region. And all this region, if the marketing is common for across the region, you can create one space for marketing. The reason behind is you can have admin dedicated for each spaces. And within the spaces, you can always have groups segregated based on your Active Directory group if it is integrated with your on-prem Microsoft Active Directory. and apps at work. So this is the enterprise app store. So as I said, you can always pull application from public app store, and also you can have in-house applications. And you can have role-based application. For example, you can have set of application pushed for HR department, set of application pushed for marketing department, and you can always have for in-house application your own featured application. You can have your own categories defined. You can have your own ratings and reviews. And this is how it looks in iOS, Android, and Windows. Docs at work, like I said, Docs at work serves two purposes for Android, and you can always connect to your backend resources. So if you have a backend on-prem local file share, or even a SharePoint or on-prem, or even if it's a cloud resources. So Docs at work, you can connect to your repository, and you can define whether it requires user authentication or it takes automatically, or you can define it as customizable. So based on that, user will have their own access to their own files and folders within their shared resources. App Connect. So App Connect is a terminology used by MobileIron. So App Connect, when an application is enabled App Connect, you have a particular feature. So this is specially for the in-house developed app. So in-house developed app, if you want to have this App Connect feature, it has to be wrapped. So wrapping, it's a SDK from the MobileIron. So it has to be wrapped over the native iOS and Android app files, and after resigning, the app will become a App Connect app. So this is the life cycle how it works. So you have an unencrypted app, and it has a on-premises SDK, and you are like wrapping with the MobileIron SDK. Then you can distribute using Windows Enterprise App Store, and it will be made available for the Windows. So with App Connect enable, you will have these control. You can block, or you can control copy paste, and you can, if your app is having any attachment or any media files, you can always control the opening. So it will be open only within the app available inside the container, or you can totally block that access also. And you can always have a secure passcode for opening your App Connect apps. So this will be different from the device passcode. Even if your device having a Face ID, Touch ID, or fingerprint by any kind of biometric scan, you can always integrate with that. And again, this will be different than the device passcode. And with this App Connect, you can always block screen capture for Android and print for iOS. And this is the difference between iOS within public available app and in-house private app. Public available apps like Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Drive, you cannot make it as a App Connect app, because we won't have that API or IP files to wrap it. Only in-house third-party apps, in-house developed application can be wrapped with MobileIron SDK, and it will be distributed only through MobileIron Enterprise App Store. Third-party application can be distributed using third-party like Google Play Store or iOS App Store. For an example, Microsoft Power BI, which is a third-party application, and you can always have a dedicated server to connect to it. So how you make a third-party application which you cannot wrap it, connect to your backend resources. So there comes the MobileIron Tunnel. So MobileIron Tunnel will enable any third-party application upon authorization will connect to your backend resources. By default, all App Connect app will connect to Sentry. If you remember the architecture, so tunnel, let me go back a few slides so that I can show you. Yes. So any third-party application, it will check with the EM console. It will check with the UEM console whether the device is authorized and all the compliance policy have been met. Then it will give access to the Sentry. This Sentry access will be from the MobileIron tunnel for the third-party applications. Once the authorization is done, it will give access to the Sentry, and Sentry will take the traffic to the backend resources. This is for third-party application. For App Connect, all application listed on the left, these are all by default App Connect enabled. So all App Connect, by you don't need a tunnel to connect to the Sentry. It will check for EM console for policies and configuration. Once everything is perfect, then it will give access to the Sentry, and Sentry automatically will take to the backend server. You can have MobileIron tunnel used as a per app VPN. If you have multiple application and each application having different on-prem services, you can have per app VPN configured for this tunnel. So only when the particular app, for example Microsoft Power BI open, automatically the particular VPN will be triggered, and it will allow only access to the Power BI server. If you have another third-party application, that will trigger another VPN which will give access only to the particular server. So this way you are like restricting the VPN access not to the entire subnet of your resources, only to a targeted service. And this way you are more securing, giving access specific to the server, specific to the app, and specific to the users. Okay, let's go back to our flow. So the next one is the web at work. Web at work, it's again a secure browser from MobileIron. So as I mentioned, by default, it's a App Connect enabled app. So it has all the DLP features you can control, and you can have role-based content like bookmarks and shortcuts published to the devices. And you have a native look and feel like experience. And you can always have per app VPN tunnel. If you have a couple of backend servers which are accessible through a browser-based application, you can have per app VPN triggered for each of these per app VPN tunnel, and you will have a data containerization. All MobileIron managed application and data will be within the logical container. So anything happens within the container stays within the container. Even if you can allow like copy paste within containerized app. So for an example, you can copy any content from email plus or docs at work and paste it only within web at work. You cannot paste it outside the container like Chrome or Safari, which are not managed by the MobileIron UEM. So any other app connect, you have a password authentication for opening web at work. You can have a separate data encryption, and you can have a secure pasteboard. So this will control like anything copied within the container cannot be pasted outside the container. And for any browser you search for anything, so usually the Facebook and other social media, they works on the cookies. So the cookies will collect the data how the user or what the user are searching, and it will help them to pitch the ads based on the cookie. So this anything you are using within the web at work, the cookies and cache will be encrypted, so it won't allow any third-party application to get the cookies and put relevant contents of the particular cookies. And you will always have a data containerization. You can block open end, you can block copy paste print, and you can also, if any URL or any email link, it will allow to open in from the native email app, and you can also control these bookmarks and everything. And you can always set a compliance policy saying if the device is jailbroken or rooted, you will be like the access will be revoked, so the device will be no longer connected to the backend resources. And if someone try to remove the MDM profile, they cannot access. You can block access to the Sentry. And if any blacklisted application is installed, you can always revoke access to the Sentry. So Email Plus, it's a secure email app from MobileIron, which is by default App Connect enabled. So when I say App Connect enabled, you will have the same DLP feature like any other App Connect apps. And this is the look and feel of how it looks on the Android. So you have contacts, you have tasks, and you have a separate application passcode and secure data in motion, and you have an independent encryption for the email. So let's check how we are managing the Windows 10. So system imaging, if you want to do a system imaging, it can be done over the air. And if you want to have a complex workflows, it will be made into automated workflows. So you can always push which Wi-Fi to be connected securely. So this will ensure the company-owned devices will only connect to a secure Wi-Fi which are trusted by the MobileIron. And for BYOD, you can always make it as a compliance policy. Like if the Wi-Fi is not trusted, or if it is a BYOD, you can always neglect that compliance policy, and you can have unified console. So this is the life cycle of managing the Windows 10. So the first step will be provisioning and configuration based on the requirement, whether you are publishing email or publishing backend services or putting up a tunnel. Everything, whatever you are meant to do as a part of configuration, it has been pushed. Then the protection will be enabled, and you can always deploy application through Windows 10 App Store, and you can always monitor, like you have a separate dashboard, like what is the usage of this Windows 10, and you can, if it is the end of life, you can like simply revoke or you can retire the device. So we have three main security. One is security at rest, our EM console, whether it is cloud or on-prem core, and security data in motion, our tunnel and sentry, and cloud services or mobile and access. So before that, let me show a quick demo how it looks. I hope you can see my screen. So this is the EUM client I was talking about. So you can see the device in compliance. So you are connected to MobileIron Cloud as the username, and if the admin wanted to send any notification, it will be appear over here as a push notification. And if you have a couple of devices, like you have one laptop or an iPad or an iPhone, you can always see the number of devices under your EM client, and you can always check for the latest updates or latest configuration push. And if you want to like re-enroll, you can always do the re-enroll. This is the privacy statement, so I was mentioning. So this is uneditable. So this will be present for the BYOD by default, and you cannot make any changes. It will show like your personal remains the same, your photos, videos. MobileIron cannot able to view or edit your personal contents. And what is accessible by the company? Device details like operating system version, roaming status, device location, and installed app. When you say installed app, only the names and version of the app is collected. The app content cannot be read by MobileIron agent. What actions can company take? They can able to remove the passcode, they can able to lock the devices, and they can able to erase the devices. So during registration, it will install a profile. So as you can see, this is the profile. So you can see the certificates pushed by the MobileIron code. So there is a device identity certificate, and there is a signing certificate from third party. Okay, and you can see how many accounts you have, and you can have how many apps being pushed by the MobileIron, and there is any restriction. Screen capture not allowed. Pop-up suffer. Even if I try to take screen capture, it won't even allow me. I was trying to take a screen capture, it's not allowing. And yeah, see, as you see this recording button, it's like it's disabled because there is a compliance policy saying like no screen capture is allowed. And you can always enforce the password. This is customizable. You can mention what is your password length, your maximum failed attempts, all these things. It's customizable. So you can actually enforce, like if the iPad or iPhone doesn't have any passcode at all, you can always enforce to have a passcode before registering for the first time. This is the secure email plus. As you see, it will ask for the authentication. The moment I click on client cancel, it doesn't allow me to access. So meaning even if the iPad is open and someone wanted to try to access the email, it won't allow unless you have the secure app password. So let me try that again. And my secure app I have integrated with the Touch ID. So when it is authorized, I can have access to the email. So this is registration. When you send a registration link, this is how the user can register. It will list like this is the URL the user should go, and this is a one-time PIN, and this is a customizable. And this is how the web app works. Every time you open App Connect, it will automatically authorized with a MobileIron UEM client. So as you can see, it's like native like experience. See? And you can have your own bookmarks over here, and you can have VPN settings pushed. You can have a password within the web at work. And this is the enterprise app store. This is actually a web clip. You can customize, you can have your own logo, you can have your own featured list. These are the categories you can customize. Business category, you have this stocks at work. You can have even publicly available apps to be pushed. You can search within your app store. If there is any updates, it will be like your Google Play Store or Apple App Store. You can always have the updates done either by the user, or you can push the updates from the through the admin. Docs at work. So currently it's not connected. So when you can connect, you can always give option to connect to your this option you can give to the user. They can connect to their own cloud storage, network drive, or SharePoint, or you can push the configuration. Once you push the configuration, a site will be appeared over here automatically. And if it is requires authentication, the moment they open the site, it will ask for the authentication. So this is a short demo, and if you have any queries, you can put it in the Q&A. And yeah, let me check if you have any Q&A questions, and you can always use the Q&A. So I'm open to answer.
Thank you, Mohan. And I want to thank everyone for your time. We hope we have delivered everything you are looking for. We will post all our webinars and this video to our platform. You can go to Redington Value YouTube, and you can see all the recording of this session. Also, we have numerous webinar sessions lined up throughout the month. You can kindly look forward the invite shared by Redington, and you can register to any session you want to attend. Thank you, Mohan. Thank you all, and have a great day ahead.